In 2020, MCHS undertook the conservation of one of the most remarkable items in its collection, a stained glass window with historical significance both locally and more broadly in American art history. Scheduled to be unveiled in fall 2021, the nearly life-size window depicts St. Cecilia, the patron saint of musicians, and was commissioned by none other than Augustus and Mary Crane of Acorn Hall in memory of their daughter Mary. The Cranes moved to Morristown around 1860 with their 4 children, of whom Mary was the eldest. Young Mary grew up at Acorn Hall and is said to have been very musical, filling in as organist at Church of the Redeemer as early as age 12. She married the boy next door, John Hone IV, and was the mother of 3 young boys before her sudden and tragic death in 1876 when she was only 27 years old. Nearly a decade later, her still grieving parents commissioned the window in her memory. The Crane family archives are silent as to when the window was commissioned. However, we know the completed window was installed in the sanctuary of Church of the Redeemer in fall 1886. The photograph on the left is the only known image of the window in the church. The 2 side panels that can be seen in the photograph have been lost to time, possibly in a 1902 fire in which several other windows were lost. However, thankfully, the central panel survived. It remained at Church of the Redeemer, although later placed in a new parish house, until 1992, when the vestry unanimously voted to donate the window, then in need of significant conservation, to MCHS. This local history of the window has long been established, but its national significance is still being uncovered. A contemporary report on the 1886 dedication of the window attributes it to Mr. John Johnston, who we now know was the devoted assistant of John Lafarge, one of the early titans of American stained glass. Lafarge was a pioneer in the medium alongside Louis Comfort Tiffany, his bitter rival. Lafarge first patented opalescent glass, a defining characteristic of American stained glass, in 1880, although Tiffany received a similar patent later that year, leading to a murky legal relationship between the two of them from then on. Soon after, Lafarge formed a company, Lafarge Decorative Arts, of which John Johnston was an employee. Unfortunately, while a brilliant artist, Lafarge was a terrible businessman and the company went bankrupt in 1885. However, we know that Johnston continued to work with Lafarge for several more years. We also know that this prominent advertisement ran throughout 1885 in a publication read by the Cranes. Stylistically, St. Cecilia has all the hallmarks of an early Lafarge window, including cabochons on the left, jewel glass at the center, and ringo glass on the right. Critically, it also utilizes significant plating, layering of glass to achieve a certain hue and luminosity. Lafarge, rather uniquely, was known to plate up to 7 layers to achieve the exact effect he desired. The design of our window also clearly drew inspiration from contemporary Lafarge works, as St. Cecilia bears a striking resemblance to ones created around the same time, such as Angel of Help, which was started in 1883 before the company's bankruptcy and completed a few years later. That window, much like St. Cecilia, makes breathtaking use of teal, aqua, and blue jewels around the figures. Another window, the Vision of St. John, also known as the New Jerusalem window, was created for Trinity Church Boston in 1884. Notably, this window is one that we know John Johnston assisted on. The configuration of its dedication, surrounding a Cairo, is nearly identical to that seen on St. Cecilia 2 years later. So was the window created by the assistant under the supervision of his master, or by a newly independent artist as an homage to his master? We may never know the answer, but lines of inquiry are still being pursued that may shed more light. St. Cecilia is currently being conserved by Serpentino Stained Glass Studio in Needham, Massachusetts, which has vast experience working with Lafarge windows. It is in the process of being stabilized and cleaned, and upon her return, St. Cecilia will be permanently displayed in the Crane Family Art Gallery on Acorn Hall's first floor. To learn more about this remarkable piece of American history or to make a donation towards her conservation, please visit morriscountyhistory.org.